Coming up on First at 4, a company out of New York is in Breathitt County building new homes for flood victims. Plus, a jury has reached a decision on a sentence in the Parkland school shooting massacre in Florida.
Plus, cooler weather is on the way as we head through the remainder of our work week, and even cooler weather beyond that. The breakdown is coming up as Mountain News First at 4 starts now.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News First at 4.
Good afternoon, I'm Steve Hensley. First at 4, we have just learned in the last half hour that the January 6th committee has voted unanimously to issue a subpoena for former President Donald Trump to testify. You may have seen the hearing live here on WYMT. The committee's vice chair, Representative Liz Cheney, said, quote, "We must seek the testimony under oath of January 6th central player. We are obligated to seek answers directly from the man who set this all in motion, and every American is entitled to those answers," end quote. Members of the committee say the plan to challenge the election was hatched even before the first votes were cast. The hearing showed a clip of Trump associate Roger Stone with him saying that the vote did not matter. Now the committee has until the end of the year to wrap up its investigation, but the criminal probe into President Trump, including his handling of classified material at Mar-a-Lago, will carry on. A person with knowledge of the Justice Department investigation says a witness who worked at Mar-a-Lago has told investigators the former president directed him or her to move boxes of documents even after the DOJ sent out a subpoena to deliver the records in May. We'll have more about all of this and more specifics from today's hearing coming up at 5:30. Some sad news out of Frankfort this afternoon. Governor Andy Beshear announced that the death toll from July's flooding has increased to 43. During his weekly Team Kentucky update, the governor said there were 2 additional deaths, one from Breathitt County and the other from Letcher County. Now, we recently reported that the body of a missing woman in Breathitt County was found, 29-year-old Nancy Cundiff. So the death toll is now at 43, and of those 43, 19 are from Knott County, 10 from Breathitt, 7 from Perry, 4 from Letcher, 2 from Clay, and 1 from Pike. Governor Beshear says one person is still missing. That's Vanessa Baker from the Lost Creek community of Breathitt County. And anyone with information on her is asked to contact Kentucky State Police Post 13 here in Hazard at 606-435-6069. A New York company, Hunter Homes and Shelters, has been in Breathitt County this week building 2 homes for flood victims. The first one was dedicated today to Faye Henson in Lower River Caney. The patented homes invented by Jack Hunter are designed to be built in 24 to 48 hours. He says 90% of the home is built in a factory setting.
All of the components, structural components, the panels, the roofing, floor, everything, bathroom, kitchen, plumbing, electric, everything is done in the factory setting, so it can be flat packed in a truck. So you come out here with basically a kit of parts.
Hunter says the homes are very strong and even considered hurricane and tornado resistant, passing many of the required codes. WYMT's Olivia Calfee will have more from the recipients of these homes tonight at 6.
Well, after a cloudy start, it's actually turned out to be a rather beautiful day around the mountains. We continue to see plenty of sunshine as those clouds continue to work on out of the region. Here's a view from several of our locations this afternoon. London Corbin Airport is cloud-free at the moment. 64 there, 64 in Hazard with a few fair weather clouds. Same thing in Pikeville. Now notice, Pikeville's winds out of the west-northwest, bringing in some of the cooler air. We've already switched London's winds around to the west-southwest, so we could be starting to see a slight rebound in those temperatures as we head towards tomorrow. There's the current readings. Still 59 in Williamsburg, but many of us are in the upper, or at least the middle and to upper 60s in some spots. Jacksboro's at 68. Wise, the other one joining Williamsburg, a little cooler at 59. Pinpoint Doppler is a clean sweep, unlike this time yesterday. The last of our showers pushed out as expected right around midday. Another boundary could try to bring some showers to the region later on, but you see it's not making much progress up in southern Indiana. So as we head to the nighttime hours tonight, clouds continue to clear. Mid-60s this evening, into the low 50s by 9 o'clock, and back into the 40s overnight. Details, though, coming up on when we could see a return to some spring-like weather, and then fall is here. Details on that in a few. Steve?
All right, Evan, thank you. In 2020, the Prestonsburg City Council discussed the possibility of establishing an ambulance service as part of its fire department. Now that plan is in its final stages. Prestonsburg Fire and EMS is awaiting the final inspections before the crew is allowed to operate an ambulance service out of its station. The change will open up the city's first responders to answer 911 calls in the city limits, which they say will offer a faster response for those in need in the Star City, while freeing up the county's other contracted ambulances to be more readily available.
We have 2 ambulance services in this county. They're both in the city limits of Prestonsburg, but unfortunately they do not have the EMS personnel to cover every single call in the city and in the county and then do their transfers.
Those involved say the process to get the operation running was a long one, but worth the fight. Hear more about the plan and what it means for people coming up at 6. Parents of the victims of the Parkland shooting are talking today after a jury in Florida recommended the gunman not be executed for the 2018 high school massacre that killed 17 people. CBS's Christian Benavidez reports from outside the courthouse in Fort Lauderdale.
Risk of death.
Family members who lost loved ones in the Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School massacre wiped away tears inside the Florida courtroom as it became clear the jury was not recommending the death penalty for the shooter.
We, the jury, unanimously find that the aggravating factors that were proven beyond a reasonable doubt outweigh the mitigating circumstances established. No.
Instead, Nicholas Cruz, characterized by his lawyers as brain damaged and mentally ill, will be sentenced to life in prison without parole for the murders of 14 students and 3 staff members after the jury failed to unanimously agree to execute him.
They heard a lot of evidence, strong evidence, but also evidence that they believed that this shooter had been the victim of serious illness. Remember, it's only one juror that needed to determine this.
Family members expressed their outrage and disappointment following the court proceedings.
I am so beyond disappointed and frustrated with this outcome.
Today's ruling was yet another gut punch.
Tony Montalto's daughter, Gina, was one of those killed.
This shooter did not deserve compassion. Did he show the compassion to Gina when he put the weapon against her chest and chose to pull that trigger?
Family members will get to speak on the record when they give impact statements at next month's sentencing. Christian Benavides, CBS News, Fort Lauderdale, Florida.
The Public Defender's Office said afterward that today's outcome represents an opportunity to reflect on the healing necessary for the community. 2 police officers were killed and another seriously injured in a shooting in Bristol, Connecticut late last night. The shooting happened as the officers were responding to a domestic dispute call. Police Chief Brian Gold called the 2 victims, identified as Dustin DeMont and Alex Hamzy, exceptional officers lost to senseless violence. DeMont, a father of 2 with another on the way, has been with the department since 2012. Hamzy has been with the department since 2014. The 3rd officer has undergone surgery for a severe gunshot wound. A Georgia toddler who's been missing for more than a week is presumed dead. Chatham County Police made the announcement last night on Twitter. 20-month-old Quentin Simon disappeared from his family's home more than a week ago. Investigators have named his mother, Leilani Simon, as the prime suspect in the case. However, Simon does not face any charges at the moment. A grandfather in Florida faces a charge of child neglect after reportedly leaving his toddler granddaughter in the back seat of a return rental car at an airport. 62-year-old David Towner appeared before a judge at the Volusia County Jail on one charge of child neglect. Deputies say he left his granddaughter in the back seat of a returned rental car. Body camera video shows deputies arriving at Daytona Beach International Airport around 6 in the evening on Monday after Hertz employees found the girl in the car. They say the toddler's face was warm and streaked with dry tears, but she was breathing normally, and they believe she was in the car in 80-degree heat for about 45 minutes. Detectives say when confronted, Towner was remorseful and cooperative. A judge ordered him released on $2,500 bond, and he's not to have any contact with his granddaughter. Coming up on First at 4, the world wildlife population is dwindling as some species are going extinct.
Plus, some chilly nights on the way for tonight and tomorrow as well. The breakdown on the way after this.